Hello, I'm Stephen Sells,
And I'm Annie Brunnelle
and this is our military database project.
for our database class at Belmont University. So, the problem that we encountered is that the military needs a system to keep track of all of its records for its soldiers. Specifically, it wants to look at the high suicide rates that it is experiencing right now. And so, we need to create some kind of database that will both take a look at this and give them some way to work with the data that they're given.
We're looking to link the databases between the military and all of their service records and the psych records they might receive at a hospital or a psych ward or something like that. Just today, the USA posted that for the last 2 years, suicide outranked war, cancer, heart disease, homicide, transportation accidents, and other causes as the leading killer, accounting to about 3 in 10 military deaths of each of these 2 years. So this was the major cause between 2012 and 2013 was simple suicides.
So that's pretty outrageous. We need to take a look at this. So here we're moving forward to our ERD. As you can say, we have our main soldier table here. That's what the whole thing revolves around. We then are going to look at our service records, our suicide reports, our psych evaluations, and our medical records. So those are the main branching outs that we see. So then moving to our actual database. Let's bring that buddy up.
There we go. We have our just basic military format, and we're going to start with the forms. And we have a form for 7 things right now, and essentially, if you can think it, we can plug it in. So if we just want to open up our soldier form, we can add a new soldier. So we add record. You're enlisting.
Gary Garrison is enlisting in the Army. You were, of course, born on January 1, and you're 25, which means that you were born in 1990-ish. Well,
Okay, that's cool.
I'm rounding.
Okay.
You were also born in Nashville, Tennessee, and your SOCH is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That is a male, and you are a human in, and we said the Army. So here you go. You just enlisted. Awesome. Let's save that. And then if you want to look at some of our previous people who we have in here,
They're all Star Wars. You can see their race changes based on their species in Star Wars.
Wonderful. So let's go back to our forms menu.
Okay.
Here's our doctor form. Again, we could add a doctor. We have lots of doctors.
To the search bar.
Oh, yes. Okay. Let's look up... Gandhi's a really great doctor, so let's look at him. Okay. He has not ended yet. That's when he started, and here's his phone number. Same thing with psychologist. Here are all of our psychologists. Indiana Jones is... he's a goodie. So here's all of our psychologists that are listed in here. And then we have medical forms. So anytime that a soldier would need to have a physical, an illness, an injury.
This is where they would come to put that in. This is for the doctors. And so you'd have a hospital visit ID, a doctor ID, and for each soldier. And then it's just going to keep up how long they were there, when they were admitted, when they were discharged, and what type of visit they had. So this one here was a routine physical. It's okay. Okay, so let's return to forms menu.
Oh, we just did. So now we're on to the suicide form. So again, this was the main incentive of the military to categorize all of its data so it's easy retrieval. So we have, of course, to look at our suicide rates. So here is when the military would enter a suicide that they have just reported. So here's a soldier, when it was completed, what type, whether a note was left, and then the description. And they would, of course, put more than this. Psychiatric visit, again, this is going to tie to our psychologist and our soldier forms, and it is every time that the soldier has gone to the psychiatrist to seek counseling. That will be helpful as well. And lastly, service records. This will be an entire list.
Anything the military could have in terms of basic training, were they a ranger, where did they do their tours? I mean, there could have been a lot of things we could have added here, but obviously this isn't the real military. It's just an outline as for a skeleton. But we thought it would be important to include include the death threat level here because that might be relevant to suicide.
Exactly. So let's go back to our main menu and look at the forms we created. We have 7 reports, and the first one is if we're looking at when soldiers were born, and we want to say, well, okay, what about generational things? Who was born after 1989? Well, oh look, there you are. You were born in 1990, so you show up on this list. Here's how old you are. Here's everyone that comes up and how old they were. We could, of course, print that if we wanted to. We're gonna put in our 98, 89, something of that sort. And here is our printable thing.
Yes.
Okay. For our medical record, let's see. What was...
1 through 7.
No, what was Gary Gerson's?
Oh, 20. No, he was 24.
24? Okay, let's...
Well, his age is 20.
Oh, we haven't put anything in for you, though. You were just created. So let's do number 1. You were just created.
So this is Boba Fett, and then everything that's happened to him. Which doctor saw him? Was it Michael Corleone or Norman Bates?
This is going to be really great for tracking injuries, tracking physicals, how's the overall health of our soldiers,
Right.
Can we improve that? Again, you could print that. We won't go and print all of them because we've already demonstrated that. Going through these quickly, let's go through number 1 again. This is all
Back
of
to
his
Boba Fett.
psych records.
So this is when he went to a psychiatrist or a psychologist, and basically they can say, okay, what were my notes about him? So our psych eval notes, was he silly? Was he demonic? Was he good? Boba Fett. And then again, which psychologist saw him? And then the date they saw them in. So Boba Fett is one that we had commit suicide. So these would, after he did commit suicide, they might want to carry. Go ahead and open up the suicide report.
Okay, so let's look back at Boba Fett, who did commit suicide. And here we can see that he had 4 psych visits, which may be a high number, may not be, depending on what the military data actually is.
Right, we'd be looking for statistical anomalies of any sort.
And then here are just all of the pure facts about how his suicide went about. We, of course, have both service record by soldier and service record by branch. Maybe the Army has a very high percentage of suicide rates, and we want to investigate that. Here's everything that happened in the Army since forever, since the database has been in creation. Here's when it happened, what soldiers were involved. How is the death threat looking? Maybe the Army just has a much higher death threat level. Maybe their location has a really bad geography.
And these are for everyone. This isn't just who's committed suicide. So these people haven't necessarily killed themselves or anything like that.
Just anyone who's in the Army, and then it's all categorized by date.
Right.
And then lastly, we have our death threat level report. So again, maybe we want to see what types of activities are ranking up high on the
Or who's coming in as being high.
Who is high, and what's happening that's making it so high, so we can fix that.
And the hope is that maybe a lieutenant could see his soldiers and say, okay, you have a high death threat level, and so let's see if we can get you extra help. Or if you look like you might be at risk for committing suicide, the Army can do something proactively rather than just responding to suicides after the fact. The idea is to become preventative, and that's at least the goal.
Absolutely. So, returning back to this, that's all of our reports. We will go back to our main menu. Thank you for watching this video, and then here is how we close our database. Wow!